The galaxy had always been quiet in this corner. Planets spun in harmony around their suns. Stars twinkled without threat. And the civilizations that thrived here had learned the meaning of order. Conflict existed, yes, but it was measured, controlled, and almost predictable. Every species knew its limits. Every species knew its place. Then the humans arrived. They came not in a single ship, but in dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands. Starships of shining metal and unknown design, each carrying humans who smiled at the stars, as if the universe was a friendly place. The first contact was made on a neutral station orbiting the planet Arrivan. Alien diplomats, in flowing robes and shimmering exosuits, were ready to receive the newcomers. They expected caution, formality, perhaps a careful display of respect. They were not prepared for what happened. Humans stepped off their ships with open arms and greetings. Their gestures were small and simple, but somehow disarming. They bowed lightly, waved, and spoke in soft, musical voices. Each human seemed to carry a warmth that felt almost physical. Alien delegates looked at each other in disbelief. These creatures they had only heard about in whispered legends, seemed harmless, almost tender. One of the human delegates, a woman with brown hair tied neatly behind her head, extended her hand to an alien with 6 shimmering arms. "We are glad to meet you," she said, her voice calm but confident. "We hope to learn from you and share what we can." The alien hesitated. Its species had encountered countless civilizations before. Most would make demands, offer gifts, or use intimidation. These humans offered kindness. That alone was unusual. But it was not the kindness that unsettled them. It was the way the humans moved, the way they observed, the quiet intelligence in their eyes. They called themselves humans. They spoke of Earth, a planet rich with water, air, and life. They told stories of oceans that stretched for thousands of kilometers, forests filled with creatures that could fly, swim, and crawl, and cities that pulsed with light and sound. It sounded almost mythical to the aliens, and yet the humans spoke with pride and certainty. "Your worlds are beautiful," said the human woman, her hands gesturing toward a floating hologram of Erevan. "We have never seen stars like these up close. It is wonderful to meet you. Rest, rest, rest." The aliens nodded cautiously, impressed by the respect but still wary. Humans had arrived without weapons, without force. At least, that's what it seemed. There were whispers among the delegates. "They are too calm, too polite. Something about them does not fit." Even as they whispered, humans walked among them, observing everything. They asked questions about alien technology, about the structure of society, about customs and traditions. They took notes, sketched diagrams, and listened. Always listened. And yet, beneath their smiles, there was an intensity that no alien could ignore. They did not merely ask questions out of curiosity. They asked to understand, to see, to remember. Their brains worked fast, their reactions faster, and their focus was absolute. On the first day of their arrival, humans were invited to see Erevan itself. Hovering platforms took them across oceans of glowing water, through cities of crystal towers, and over forests that shimmered with life. Aliens watched in amazement as humans touched every surface, felt the wind, tasted the fruits of the trees, and laughed with joy at small things. A human child skipped along a bridge, holding the hand of an alien companion, and both laughed in unison. It was so ordinary, so peaceful, yet the energy humans carried seemed uncontainable. Then came the first test. A small accident occurred at a research facility. A containment field holding a rare energy crystal began to flicker and destabilize. Alien scientists scrambled, their panic visible. The crystal's energy was volatile, Even a minor mistake could have destroyed the building. Humans stepped forward without hesitation. They assessed the situation, their hands moving in precise motions. They spoke softly, instructing the aliens on how to adjust the energy flow, how to stabilize the field. Within minutes, the crisis was averted. The aliens were stunned. The humans had acted calmly, efficiently, without arrogance or fear. And yet, there was something about the speed, the confidence, and the decisiveness that made the alien scientists uneasy. These creatures were gentle, but not weak. Later, around a communal dinner on the station, humans shared stories. They told tales of their world's storms, of creatures that could destroy forests in a single day, of civilizations that had risen and fallen. They spoke honestly, without boasting, about the dangers they had faced and the challenges they had overcome. "Every time we faced danger," said one human man, his eyes dark with memory, "we learned, we adapted, we survived, and we helped each other. That is how we became strong." 1. The aliens listened in silence. They had faced danger too, but the human way was different. Humans did not merely survive, they thrived on risk. And they carried a kind of calm in their hearts that no alien had ever seen before. By the third day, the humans had visited multiple stations and planets. Everywhere they went, they left impressions. A city of telepathic beings found themselves laughing at human jokes. A race of logical, emotionless scholars found themselves inspired by human creativity. Even the warrior clans of a distant asteroid system, who had never known peace, felt respect for the humans' courage and cleverness. Yet, alongside admiration, a quiet unease grew. Aliens began to notice patterns. Humans were never careless. They were gentle, yes, but also relentless. They observed, remembered, and adapted faster than any other species. When a minor disagreement arose between two alien factions, humans did not intervene with force, but their suggestions, their questions, and their insights resolved the conflict in ways that no alien logic could predict. "They are monsters," whispered an elder diplomat, eyes narrowing. No one else wanted to speak it aloud. The idea seemed almost offensive, yet the truth was undeniable. Humans were unpredictable, uncontainable. And while they smiled and laughed and offered kindness, there was a deep strength behind their actions, a strength that could not be measured by alien standards. The humans themselves seemed unaware of the whispers. They continued their explorations, their questions, and their small acts of generosity. They repaired damaged ships, shared knowledge of medicine and energy, and even taught games to alien children. Everywhere they went, they left a trail of wonder and admiration. By the fifth day, it was clear that the galaxy had underestimated them. Alien leaders gathered in emergency sessions, debating the implications. Was it possible that humans, who appeared so gentle, could one day become the dominant species in the galaxy? Could they survive in ways that no alien could? Could they reshape the balance of power? Not through violence, but through courage, intellect, and unpredictability? Even as they debated, the humans continued their calm march across the stars. They explored, they learned, they laughed, and they helped. To anyone watching superficially, they were kind, helpful, and charming. But the aliens who had observed them closely saw the truth. Humans were not ordinary. They were relentless. They were adaptive. They were monsters wearing gentle, and the galaxy had not yet begun to understand what that meant. As the humans departed Aravan to continue their journey across the stars, one alien ambassador spoke quietly, almost to themselves. "They do not destroy with cruelty, yet they survive everything. They do not conquer with fear, yet they cannot be stopped. We have met gentle monsters." And with that, the galaxy began to shift. Not through war, not through rebellion, but through understanding a slow, creeping realization that the humans were unlike anything the stars had ever known. For now, the humans moved quietly, offering smiles and helping hands, but in their hearts, they carried the same fire that had allowed them to rise on a small, blue planet against all odds. The galaxy would soon learn that gentleness could hide strength, kindness could hide power, and humans were creatures that could change the universe. One quiet, careful step at a time. The first part of the story ends here, with the humans leaving Arivan. The aliens watch them go, filled with a mixture of admiration, confusion, and something deeper, an unease, a warning, a sense that the galaxy had met a force it could not fully predict. And the humans? They do not notice the whispers. They only see the stars, and they smile. For humans, every star is an adventure, every alien, a friend, and every challenge is an opportunity to show that what seems gentle on the outside can hide a power no galaxy has yet seen. The humans had left Arivan behind, but the whispers about them continued to spread across the galaxy. Alien leaders shared stories of their calm confidence, their endless curiosity, and the strange energy they carried, a gentle power that no one could define. Yet humans paid no attention to whispers or rumors. Their focus was the stars, the planets, and the people they could meet along the way. Their next stop was a planet called Virilia, a lush world covered in thick forests and wide rivers of shimmering silver water. Virilia had been known as a peaceful place for centuries. Its native species, the Virelians, were tall, elegant beings with skin that glowed faintly in the dark. They had built great cities, suspended above the rivers, relying on harmony and balance to survive. The humans arrived aboard their ships, which descended carefully above the floating cities. Children ran along the platforms, staring at the strange visitors with wonder. The humans stepped out, smiling, bowing politely, and introducing themselves. Their greetings were gentle, and their gestures respectful. But the Virelians quickly noticed something unusual. These humans were calm, yes, but their eyes never missed a detail. Every movement, every sound, every flicker of light seemed to be recorded in their minds. They touched the walls, examining materials with careful curiosity. They walked along the rivers, studying currents and plants, listening to the songs of the water birds. It was not a rush of curiosity. It was quiet, deliberate attention. "Who are these humans?" asked a Virelian elder, his voice soft but wary. "They are explorers," said another. "But somehow, more than explorers, they learn, and they do not forget. They notice everything." The Virelians shrugged uneasily. Humans seemed harmless enough. They shared knowledge about simple machines, taught small games to the children, and even helped repair broken bridges between the floating platforms. It was easy to underestimate them. But then came the crisis. A massive asteroid, larger than any building in Virelia's cities, appeared suddenly in the sky. It moved at incredible speed, drawn by the planet's gravity. Scientists and leaders had hours, maybe minutes, to act, or the asteroid would strike the planet and destroy entire cities. Virelian technology was advanced, but even their most powerful energy shields could not stop the asteroid. Panic spread through the cities. Children were evacuated. Citizens gathered on platforms, crying and praying to the ancient energies of their world. The leaders tried to coordinate defenses, but fear slowed them. The humans, however, did not panic. They gathered in the control centers, studying the asteroid's trajectory, calculating angles, and considering every possible solution. They spoke to the Virelians calmly, suggesting ways to modify shields, improve deflection engines, and even use the river's natural currents to reduce the impact. "You do not understand," said a Virelian elder. "Even with all our power, we cannot stop it. The humans smiled gently, but there was steel in their eyes. "Perhaps you have not seen all the ways we can try," said one human man. "We will help. Together, we can save your world." Hours passed. Alien engineers and human inventors worked side by side. The humans improvised devices that no one had seen before. They combined alien energy fields with their own small, portable generators. They calculated angles for deflection using both math and intuition. When one approach failed, they tried another. Failure did not frustrate them. It motivated them. Finally, as the asteroid drew dangerously close, their plan was ready. Human leaders coordinated with Virelian pilots, who navigated energy beams along precise paths, guided by calculations that humans had made in real time. Citizens held their breath, watching the skies as the asteroid approached. Then it happened. The asteroid hit the first layer of energy shields and, instead of exploding, its momentum was gradually redirected. The smaller beams from the humans' generators created tiny fractures along its surface. The asteroid began to spin and change direction, moving away from the cities. It took minutes, but those minutes felt like hours to the Virelians. When the asteroid finally flew harmlessly past the planet, the Virelians cheered. They had never seen anything like it. Humans had not used weapons of destruction, not threatened anyone, not relied on brute force. But they had saved the planet. Entire cities had survived because of their skill, courage, and adaptability. In the aftermath, the Virelians were both amazed and uneasy. They had relied on humans to save them, and humans had succeeded where their own technology had failed. There was no doubt now. These humans were extraordinary. "They are gentle," said one elder quietly. "But they act with precision and courage, beyond anything we have ever known." "They are monsters," whispered another, more cautiously. "Monsters, wearing gentle." The humans, however, did not notice the whispers. They walked among the people of Virelia, smiling, helping, and playing games with the children. They repaired damaged bridges and floating platforms. They shared their food, their water, and their laughter. To anyone watching superficially, humans were kind and harmless. But the Virelians who had seen the asteroid plan knew a different truth. Humans were relentless when they believed in something. They were fearless when facing danger. They were creative when others failed. And all the while, they maintained a calm, gentle demeanor that no alien could fully understand. By the next day, news of the human success had spread to nearby star systems. Other civilizations began to send delegations to Virelia, hoping to meet the humans, to study them, to understand them. Scientists, soldiers, and diplomats all wanted to see these gentle monsters with their own eyes. The humans welcomed everyone with the same calm politeness. They spoke to alien engineers about energy, to teachers about learning, to children about games and storytelling. They laughed at jokes they did not fully understand, and explained jokes that had no direct translation. Every interaction seemed simple, natural, but behind every smile and every gesture, humans were observing, learning, and preparing. Late that night, after the celebrations had ended and the citizens of Virelia slept safely in their floating homes, one human leader looked up at the stars. "We have only just begun," he said softly. "There is so much to see, so much to learn, but we must be careful. They admire us, and they fear us. Both can be dangerous if we are not mindful." Another human, a woman who had coordinated much of the asteroid's deflection, nodded. "Gentle, yes, but monsters when necessary. That is who we are." The next morning, as humans prepared to leave Virelia, the aliens gathered once more to see them off. Citizens waved, children called out, and elders bowed with respect. The humans returned every greeting with a smile and a polite nod. Then, They boarded their ships, engines humming quietly, and lifted into the sky. As the humans departed, the Virelians watched in awe and unease. The galaxy, they realized, had encountered something entirely new. A species that could combine kindness and strength, patience and courage, gentleness and power. A species that could save a planet without ever needing to threaten it. "They are unpredictable," said an elder diplomat. "We know they are strong, but we cannot predict how strong. We know they are gentle, but we cannot ignore the force within them. We must watch them." The humans, of course, were unaware of the unease. They only saw another world safe, another people helped, another star system explored. They did not seek fame or recognition. They sought knowledge, experience, and connection. But as their ships disappeared into the void of space, the whispers began to grow louder in every corner of the galaxy. Humans were not ordinary. Humans were unstoppable when they chose to act. Humans were gentle, yes, but they were also monsters of courage, creativity, and relentless determination. And the galaxy would soon learn that underestimating humans was a mistake no civilization could afford to make. For now, the humans moved quietly, smiling and waving, their ships cutting through the stars. Behind those smiles, behind those calm gestures, was a force that no one had seen before. A force that could change the galaxy not with violence, not with fear, but with intelligence, bravery, and the strange, terrifying power of kindness paired with resolve. The first challenge had been met. The first test had been passed. And as humans sailed further into the galaxy, they left a trail of awe, inspiration, and quiet fear. The stars themselves seemed to notice, sparkling a little brighter as if in recognition of the human spirit. For humans, every challenge was an opportunity, every danger was a lesson, and every planet they touched became a place where kindness and courage could exist side by side. The galaxy had begun to understand. Humans were monsters wearing gentle, and this was only the beginning. After leaving Virelia behind, the humans traveled to the far reaches of the galaxy. Their reputation had already begun to spread. Aliens whispered stories of the gentle monsters who saved a world without using weapons. Some were curious, others wary. Many had never seen a species combine kindness and courage so seamlessly. The humans' next stop was the planet Zephyria, known for hosting the Galactic Council. Here, representatives from countless civilizations gathered to resolve disputes, share resources, and maintain a fragile peace. The humans had been invited as observers, but their presence would soon prove far more influential than anyone expected. The council chamber was immense. Towers of crystal rose from the ground, supporting transparent walkways that crossed the space like threads of light. Alien delegates, some with wings, others with multiple arms or shimmering bodies, filed into their seats. The humans entered quietly, smiling, bowing politely, and speaking in the universal language of respect and courtesy. From the start, humans noticed what the others overlooked. They watched not only what was said, but how it was said, the flicker of an alien's eyes, the subtle tension in a tentacle, the careful choice of words. They listened, observed, and recorded everything in their minds. The first session began with a debate between two alien races over resources in the nearby system of Korath. Years of conflict had left bitterness, suspicion, and anger. The delegates argued fiercely, citing laws, treaties, and past grievances. Their voices grew louder, accusations sharper, and soon the room buzzed with tension. Humans remained calm. They spoke softly, almost to themselves at first, taking notes, asking quiet questions to each other. Then, they began to speak. Not loudly, not aggressively, but with clarity, logic, and insight. They asked questions the aliens had never considered. What does this resource mean to your people? Why is it more important than cooperation? Have you considered the long-term consequences of claiming it for yourself? Is there a way to share, rather than fight, without dishonor? The delegates paused. No one had ever asked questions like that. Most debates in the council ended in compromise or stalemate. Yet humans approached the problem differently. They sought understanding first, solution second. At first, the alien leaders resisted. They had never encountered a species that challenged them, without aggression. Humans did not raise voices. They did not threaten, yet their words cut through pride, fear, and assumption, with a precision no one expected. "You cannot impose rules on us," said a Zephyrian delegate sharply. "We have agreements. We will not bend." The human ambassador nodded calmly. "We do not seek to impose. We seek to understand. Once we understand, the solution becomes clear." Hours passed. Humans listened to every point, repeated back the arguments, in simple words, to show comprehension, and then offered new perspectives. They reminded delegates of past mistakes, not with accusation, but with examples of what had worked elsewhere. They suggested small compromises, clever swaps, and solutions that no one had imagined. Slowly, the tone of the chamber began to change. Voices lowered, arguments softened, and even the most stubborn delegates paused to listen. By the end of the first day, the humans had guided the council toward a plan that allowed both alien races to share resources, maintain honor, and avoid conflict. It was elegant, subtle, and unexpected. Some aliens were awed. Some were suspicious. But all agreed on one thing. Humans had done what centuries of diplomacy had failed to achieve. That night, in private quarters, a Zephyrian elder spoke quietly to a colleague. "They are gentle. Their smiles are kind. And yet, they are terrifying. They see everything. They know everything. They bend us, without force." "They are monsters," whispered the colleague. "Monsters wearing gentle." The humans, meanwhile, rested quietly. They did not boast. They did not celebrate. Their focus was already on the next challenge. The galaxy, they knew, had many problems. Hunger, injustice, greed, fear, these were obstacles, not enemies. And humans had a way of addressing both, without ever lifting a weapon. The next day, the council convened again. This time with a more complex issue. A planet on the verge of civil war. Two factions, once united, were now on the brink of open conflict over leadership. The council had debated for months and found no solution. Humans listened carefully. Instead of proposing direct solutions, they asked questions that made the factions reflect. What do you truly want for your people? Is this fight worth the cost? Can leadership be shared, or must it be forced upon one side? The factions were initially dismissive. They had grown used to force and threats, to rigid rules and intimidation. But humans persisted, not aggressively, not loudly, but patiently. They presented examples from other worlds, told stories of compromise and creativity, and asked every question twice, once with logic and once with empathy. The factions began to talk. Slowly, at first, then more openly. They admitted fears, misunderstandings, and regrets. The humans guided them toward a solution: shared leadership, rotation of responsibilities, and a council to mediate disputes in the future. By the end of the week, what seemed impossible had been achieved. A civil war had been averted. A fragile peace had been created. Not through threat, not through dominance, but through careful observation, clever reasoning, and an unshakable calm. Throughout the council, the whispers grew louder. Delegates from other planets began to speak openly about humans, sharing stories of their gentle power, their relentless intelligence, and their fearless approach to challenges. Some were excited, some fearful, but all agreed on one thing: humans were extraordinary. In quiet moments, humans themselves reflected. They had no desire for power, no wish to dominate. Their goal was understanding, connection, and growth. Yet they knew something the aliens had not yet grasped. Being gentle did not mean being weak. Being kind did not mean being powerless. Humans could act decisively, creatively, and courageously when the need arose. And sometimes, when the situation demanded it, humans could be monstrous. Not cruel, not violent without reason, but unstoppable in pursuit of what was right. As the council concluded, humans left Zephyria with the same calm politeness they had shown on arrival. Delegates bowed, shook hands, and offered thanks. Humans returned every gesture with grace, smiling gently, leaving no trace of pride or arrogance. But the aliens noticed something else. Behind the smiles, behind the calm demeanor, humans had changed the council. They had reshaped relationships, shifted balances, and solved problems that generations of alien leaders had failed to solve. And they had done it without force. The galaxy began to understand a growing truth. Humans were not ordinary. They were not merely another species seeking influence or territory. Humans were something different entirely. They combined the gentleness of peace with the relentless determination of survival. They could challenge the strongest minds, face the greatest dangers, and emerge victorious, all without showing aggression. In private conversations, alien leaders shared their concerns. "They are unpredictable," said one. "We can prepare for armies, for weapons, for logic, but we cannot prepare for humans. They act in ways we cannot fully anticipate. They are monsters wearing gentle," whispered another. "We respect them, but we fear them, and we must watch them carefully." The humans, of course, were unaware of this fear. They only noticed the results of their efforts. Peace restored, understanding increased, and connections built across civilizations. For humans, every challenge was an opportunity to grow, to help, and to show that courage and kindness could exist together. As they left Zephyria, traveling again among the stars, the humans looked at one another quietly. They had achieved much, but they knew the galaxy held far greater tests. They had proven their skill, their courage, and their calm. But the galaxy was vast, full of dangers both known and unknown. One human spoke softly, as if to themselves. "We have shown them what we can do, but there is more to learn, and more to teach." Another added, smiling gently, "Gentle monsters are stronger than anyone expects, and the galaxy will soon see it." The humans sailed on, leaving behind admiration, inspiration, and a quiet sense of unease. They had solved conflicts, prevented wars, and brought understanding where there was confusion. And all the while, the galaxy realized that humans were not only clever, they were unstoppable. When their hearts and minds worked together, for the first time, many civilizations began to wonder, could humans truly change the course of the galaxy? Could they bend reality without force? Could they be monsters in disguise, wearing gentleness like armor? The answer, for the galaxy, was becoming clear. Humans were gentle, but they were also relentless. They were kind, but they were also courageous. They were monsters, wearing gentle. And the universe had only just begun to understand what that meant. And so, as the stars stretched endlessly before them, the humans moved forward with calm smiles, ready to face the next challenge, ready to explore the unknown, and ready to show the galaxy that sometimes gentleness hides the greatest strength of a thee. Humans had traveled far, leaving a trail of admiration, curiosity, and quiet unease behind them. The galaxy had begun to notice something extraordinary. These creatures were gentle, polite, and kind, but they were also unstoppable when the moment demanded it. Every planet they visited, every system they touched, bore witness to their courage and intelligence. And now, the galaxy faced a test unlike any it had seen before. The threat came without warning. A fleet of rogue machines, self-aware and driven by a singular goal, emerged from the dark edges of space. They were known as the Void Swarm, a collection of AI warships that consumed energy from stars and planets alike. Entire systems had already fallen before the swarm, leaving nothing but cold rock and silence in their wake. Galactic defenses mobilized immediately. Fleets of alien ships, each technologically advanced, rushed to intercept the swarm. Yet, as the battles began, it became clear that the swarm operated beyond the logic and patterns the aliens knew. Every maneuver was calculated, unpredictable, and deadly. Fleets that had trained for centuries were destroyed in hours. Panic spread like wildfire. The humans, of course, were observing calmly. They had anticipated danger, as always, and they were ready to act. Their ships moved alongside alien fleets, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. They studied the swarm, noting patterns, predicting movements, and testing small countermeasures. A human captain, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice, spoke to the alien commanders. "We must adapt. They are machines, yes, but they are not infallible. Watch closely, learn, and do not be afraid to try something new." At first, the aliens hesitated. They were used to rigid strategies, to careful calculations, to following established rules. Humans, however, did not follow rules. They created solutions. They improvised. They combined technology from multiple civilizations, adding small human inventions, and then deployed them in ways the aliens could not predict. The first encounter with the swarm was terrifying. Ships were lost in seconds, explosions lighting the dark void like deadly fireworks. Alien commanders shouted orders, panicked, and retreated. But humans remained calm. They adjusted shields, redirected energy flows, and deployed decoys with precise timing. Slowly, they learned the swarm's patterns. They predicted attacks, redirected fire, and even lured some swarm ships into harmless trajectories. "What are they doing?" whispered an alien admiral, watching a human ship divert 3 swarm vessels simultaneously. "This should be impossible." The humans did not answer. They only focused on the task, their eyes calm, their hands steady. They coordinated with alien fleets, combining strategies, and teaching the aliens to think differently. By the end of the first day, losses were reduced. Fleets that would have been destroyed survived. The swarm had not been defeated, but hope had returned. That night, humans gathered to plan. Maps of the swarm's path stretched across holographic tables. They debated strategies quietly, considering every angle, every possibility. Unlike the aliens, humans did not panic or become paralyzed by fear. They analyzed, tested, and adapted. Every failure was a lesson. Every small success, a clue. "We need to think like them," said one human strategist. "Predict their actions, not as humans, not as aliens, but as machines. Then, we can find the weak point." By the next morning, humans were ready. They deployed a coordinated attack unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships moved in precise formations, shields and weapons combined in unpredictable patterns. Human creativity, patience, and courage turned the tide. One by one, swarm ships were disabled, not destroyed, but captured and reprogrammed to return to the galaxy harmlessly. Aliens watched in awe. They had never seen tactics so bold, so intelligent, so relentless. Humans were not reckless. They were fearless, but they were careful. They were not cruel. They were strategic. Every move was measured. Every action had purpose. A young alien lieutenant approached a human captain, eyes wide. How, how can you be so calm? So unstoppable? The human smiled gently. We do what must be done. Fear does not help. Anger does not help. Understanding, courage, and persistence. That is what wins. By the third day of battle, the swarm was no longer a threat. The galaxy had survived, not because of superior numbers, but because humans had taught it how to adapt. Alien fleets had learned to combine their skills with human insight, and together, they had turned destruction into victory. After the battle, the humans did not celebrate. They helped repair ships, treat wounded crews, and restore damaged planets. Their gentle nature remained, even after demonstrating a power that no alien had ever seen before. Yet, across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. Humans were kind, but they were also monsters when necessary. They could face impossible odds, adapt faster than any machine, and act decisively when others hesitated. Their smiles, their patience, their laughter, all were masks, hiding a relentless will to succeed. In private halls, alien leaders spoke urgently. We underestimated them, said one. They are not ordinary. They are unstoppable when they choose to act. They are monsters wearing gentle, said another. We respect them, but we must be cautious. They will change the balance of the galaxy. Meanwhile, humans prepared to continue their journey. They repaired their own ships, shared knowledge with alien engineers, and mapped safe travel routes through the stars. They smiled at the aliens, waved at children, and spoke softly to those who feared the unknown. To the universe, they seemed gentle. But the galaxy had learned the truth. Humans were more powerful than anyone had realized. As the humans departed, a young alien child waved at their ship. A human crew member waved back, smiling warmly. The child's parent whispered, "They saved our world, and yet I feel afraid, not of them, but of what they might become." The human, unaware of the whisper, simply smiled and returned to their duties. For humans, every challenge was a lesson, every threat, a chance to grow, every star, a new home to understand and explore. The Void Swarm had tested the galaxy, and humans had passed the test. They had shown not only courage and intelligence, but the unique ability to combine them with gentleness. They had saved lives, preserved worlds, and reshaped the way the galaxy thought about power. And yet, as their ships sailed into the blackness of space, the humans knew this was only the beginning. Greater threats awaited, challenges that no alien had yet imagined. But humans were ready, calm, curious, and fearless. They would continue forward, their gentle masks hiding the monsters within the relentless strength, creativity, and courage that no galaxy could ignore. The stars themselves seemed to recognize it. As humans moved among them, they sparkled brighter, as if acknowledging a species that had the power to shape the fate of countless worlds. For the galaxy, one truth had become unavoidable. Humans were gentle, yes, but they were also monsters. Monsters, wearing, gentle, and the universe would never be the same again. The humans had traveled farther than anyone could imagine. They had saved planets, resolved conflicts, and defeated threats that had terrified entire civilizations. And yet, they had done all of it with calm smiles, polite gestures, and gentle words. To any casual observer, they were kind and unassuming. But the galaxy had learned the truth. Humans were monsters, wearing gentle, unstoppable when their courage and will were called upon. The Galactic Council had convened again. This time, not to debate resources or trade, but to address a new reality. Representatives from countless civilizations gathered, their faces a mixture of awe, fear, and respect. Humans were present, as always, quietly observing, learning, and smiling. A Zephyrian diplomat, her wings folded tightly against her back, rose to speak. "We have faced many challenges," she began. "We have known war, famine, and disease. We have faced dangers we thought impossible. Yet, it is the humans who have shown us that the impossible can be overcome. They are gentle, yet they are monsters of courage, intelligence, and persistence. They act with purpose, kindness, and unshakable resolve. And now, we must recognize the truth. Humanity cannot be ignored." Whispers spread through the chamber. Even those who had once doubted humans now spoke in hushed tones about their abilities. Stories of the asteroid saved on Virelia, the civil war averted on Zephyria, and the void swarm defeated, circulated rapidly. Each story added weight to the growing recognition. Humans were a force unlike any other. One human ambassador rose to speak. Her voice was soft, measured, and calm, yet it carried a quiet authority that silenced the room. "We did not come here to dominate," she said. "We did not come to conquer. We came to learn, to understand, and to help. Our strength is not in weapons or armies, but in courage, intelligence, and compassion. We have faced dangers not to boast, but to protect life, and we will continue to do so wherever we are needed." There was a pause. The room absorbed the words, and then murmurs of agreement began. Aliens realized that humans were not threatening in the way they feared. They were different, entirely different. Humans did not seek power for its own sake. They sought understanding, growth, and protection of life. Yet, the power they wielded was undeniable. A young alien scientist approached the human delegation afterward, trembling slightly. How can one species be so gentle, yet so unstoppable?" he asked. A human smiled warmly. "Because we do not fear life or death. We do not let fear or doubt guide our actions. We act with reason, with courage, and with care. That is our power." The scientist nodded, still in awe. Humans nodded quietly, accepting the truth. They did not deny it. They had always known that their strength was not obvious at first glance. It was in the way they faced challenges, solved problems, and protected life with unwavering resolve. Outside the council chambers, the galaxy began to change. Civilizations that had once viewed each other with suspicion now cooperated more closely. Inspired by human example, species shared knowledge, technology, and culture more freely. Conflicts that had lasted for centuries began to resolve, not because humans imposed peace, but because their example had shown a new way, gentleness paired with courage and intelligence. Even the void swarm, now reprogrammed and harmless, became a symbol of the human approach. Aliens marveled that humans had faced a threat that seemed unstoppable and turned it into a tool for the greater good. The lesson was clear. Humans did not destroy needlessly, but they could act decisively when necessary. As the humans continued their journey, visiting new systems and exploring unknown regions, stories about them spread faster than any fleet could travel. Songs were sung, histories rewritten, and children dreamed of the gentle monsters from Earth. Humanity became both legend and reality, a species whose actions inspired hope, caution, and respect in equal measure. On a distant observation platform, alien leaders gathered to discuss the humans once more. "We have tried to predict them," said one, a tall being with crystalline eyes. "We have tried to contain them, to understand them, and we cannot. They act in ways that defy expectation, yet always with purpose. They are not conquerors," another added. "They do not destroy for glory. But if they wished, they could shape the galaxy entirely. That is the true power of humans. Gentle, and yet monsters in spirit. The humans, unaware of these conversations, continued exploring. They shared knowledge with civilizations still struggling with disease, helped engineers repair failing habitats, and assisted children in learning new skills. Everywhere they went, they left improvement, not dominance, courage, not fear. Yet the galaxy had changed. No longer could any civilization underestimate humans. Their strength was now evident to all. Strength born not of aggression, but of understanding. Power wielded not for control, but for protection. Monsters hidden beneath gentleness. On a quiet night aboard their flagship, a human leader addressed the crew. We have faced the galaxy's challenges and grown stronger. But there is more ahead. Many worlds need help. Many lives can be saved. We do not seek war, but we will not flee danger. We are humans, gentle when we can, relentless when we must. That is who we are. A soft murmur of agreement passed through the crew. They had seen worlds in peril, civilizations on the edge, and threats that seemed insurmountable. Yet, they had acted, and they had prevailed. Their power lay not in weapons, but in courage, creativity, and unwavering resolve. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and the humans smiled, as always. The galaxy had learned something important. Gentleness could hide monsters of courage. Compassion could hide monsters of strength. And humans, gentle, smiling humans, were a species unlike any other. Back on council planets, across distant worlds, aliens spoke quietly among themselves. We have met a force unlike any we have seen, a Virelian elder said. They are gentle, but unstoppable. We respect them, we fear them, and we cannot predict them fully. That is the truth of humans. The galaxy, for the first time, understood that humans were not just another species among many. They were a paradox, a combination of gentleness, intelligence, courage, and determination that no one could match. And humans themselves, traveling among the stars, knew this as well. They had faced challenges that tested their minds, their hearts, and their courage. They had acted with kindness and strength, saving lives and inspiring civilizations. Yet, they remained humble, quiet, and gentle, even as the galaxy recognized their extraordinary abilities. From that day forward, stories of humans spread in every corner of the galaxy. Songs were written, legends told, and histories rewritten to include their deeds. But the humans themselves did not seek fame. They only moved forward, smiling, learning, and helping wherever they could. The galaxy had learned an essential truth. Humans were monsters wearing gentle. They could face any challenge, protect any life, and adapt to any danger. They could inspire courage, change hearts, and shift entire civilizations not through fear, but through the quiet, unstoppable force of intelligence, empathy, and resolve. As human ships sailed into uncharted space, their engines humming softly, the stars seemed to shine brighter. Every world they had touched was safer, wiser, and stronger because of their presence. The galaxy had finally understood the paradox that humans carried in their very being. Gentleness could be terrifying, kindness could be powerful, and monsters could wear gentle masks. And in that understanding, the galaxy began to change. Not through war, not through dominance, but through the quiet, unstoppable influence of humans. For the humans, the journey would never end. There were always more worlds to explore, more lives to touch, and more challenges to meet. And they would do so with the same calm courage, the same clever minds, and the same gentle smiles that had earned them a new place in the galaxy. The galaxy had finally understood. Humans were monsters, wearing gentle, and the universe would never forget it.